during the time that occupants were screaming and scrambling down the stairs while flames blazed through the building. No one saw him at first. Firefighters and residents of the upper floors of the apartment complex tried to take control of the situation inside an apartment 3C. The smoke was already too thick to see. The alarms had long since gone off, but there was no movement behind that door, just stillness and breathing, ragged, shallow, fading. Then came the sound of claws against the floor, quick, deliberate steps. A golden furred shape emerged from the smoke. He was trained for this, but nothing in his training had prepared him for what the fire would feel like, the heat, the fear, the suffocating, choking dark. Still, Toby did not hesitate. He was a service dog, and he was bonded for life to the man who was now slumped and unconscious in the wheelchair. The man was a veteran who was paralyzed from the waist down. Toby had been his legs for years, but today he had to be something more. The fire had spread much more quickly than anyone had anticipated, and by the time the hallway was filled with flames, no one could reach them. No phone call would go through, and the windows were sealed. It was just the two of them and the fire. The man coughed, barely conscious, his head rolled to the side, tears from the smoke trailing down his cheeks. He could not move, he could not speak, but he could feel the tremble in the frame as it began to shift forward as the dog he had once rescued now attempted to rescue him. Toby circled behind the wheelchair with his body low and his ears back. The nylon emergency strap, which the man's handler had trained him to use, hung from the frame. With a quick jerk of his mouth, he grabbed it, planted his paws, and began to pull it. The wheel scraped the floor. The man coughed, barely conscious, his head rolled to the side, and tears rolled down his cheeks. Toby's body strained, his muscles trembled with effort. The hallway was full of heat, so intense it seared the fur along his back. Smoke clouded his vision. But he did not stop. He had only one instinct left: get him out. Step by step, paw by paw, he dragged the man through the hallway. The fire crept closer, licking at the walls. Debris fell from the ceiling. The man's hand brushed hot embers. As they fell, he did not flinch. He could not. He simply closed his eyes and trusted the firefighters were minutes away. But Toby knew minutes were all they did not have. Finally, the door came into view, half open, warped by the heat. Toby gave a final desperate tug, and the chair bumped over the threshold into the smoke-filled corridor beyond. He did not stop. He kept pulling inch by inch until the stairs came into sight, and then the flash of a yellow helmeted firefighter turned just in time to see the scene: a dog, muzzle blackened with soot, body trembling from exertion, dragging a man in a wheelchair out of a burning unit. They rushed in, grabbing the man, lifting him onto a stretcher. Others reached for the dog, but Toby refused to leave his side. Even as he collapsed from exhaustion, his eyes never left his human. Later, the man would say he remembered nothing but the heat and the feeling of motion, the feeling of being pulled toward life. By the time they were both safe, individuals were examined by paramedics. In addition, Toby had smoke damage in his lungs and burns on his paws, but he was still alive inside the ambulance. The man had suffered from light smoke inhalation, but he would recover. Toby gently rested his head on the man's hand. The man stirred slightly, and his eyes remained closed, but Toby knew that he was alive, and that was enough for him to stay by his side in peace. Sometimes the quietest acts of love, such as a dog refusing to leave your side, are the ones that carry us through the most difficult times, such as when we are afraid of fire and fear.